Ebola! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like Ebola is spreading rapidly. Yes, that's the news, guys. That's the news that's out on the mainstream right now. Ebola is spreading rapidly. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a new vaccine that's being developed by Britain. However, it's months away. And in a backdrop to that, we have been predicted that this is going to be a new pandemic, a very serious pandemic. And then I'm going to jump onto, after I've spoken about the Ebola outbreak, I'm going to jump onto what to expect tonight, because there is a lot of data points right now pointing that we are going to see carnage, chaos, and mayhem in the United Kingdom tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the first article here. Ebola outbreak is spreading rapidly. And then the UK scientists are months away from a vaccine. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, guys, if you know, if it was already too bad that we've got an Ebola, that we've got the new Ebola virus outbreak, former CDC director on Ebola outbreak, I suspect this is going to become a very significant pandemic. Doesn't sound good, does it? Doesn't sound good, this Ebola outbreak. And then I'm going to jump onto the link-up culture and what I expect happening tonight in the United Kingdom. And look, guys, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, it does feel like we are ground zero. It does. It feels like we're ground zero for whatever this is. I don't know what we're living through right now, but we are not in normal times. We're not in even this is not even a normal war cycle, right? This is something far darker. It is, guys. It's something far darker. So let me give you guys the latest from Ebola. So the World Health Organization, the WHO, those of you guys, you pass judgment afterwards. The World Health Organization are now sounding the alarm over the fast-moving Ebola outbreak in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's not democratic and it's not a republic. According to the World Health Organization director, good old Tedros, there are now at least 750 cases and 177 suspected deaths. So far, 72 cases and 7 deaths have been officially confirmed. Guys, this story gets wilder. As I get further into this story, it gets crazier, right? Now, these numbers are quickly increasing as testing, as more testing happens. Tedros has described the situation as spreading rapidly. So that's what they're saying, guys. Ebola is now spreading rapidly. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm absolutely doing this right now. Remember when the hantavirus came out, right? And it just seemed like all over social media, nobody cared. They're like, yeah, it's BS, not interested, BS. And then it just seems like instant. Then there was the norovirus, and now there's Ebola. Could there be? Let's just go down. Let's put our best tinfoil hats on for 2 seconds, guys, right? And imagine, if you will, there's somebody behind the scenes and they're controlling this and they're saying, yeah, are they going for a hantavirus? Nah, nobody's having that. Oh, okay. Going norovirus? Nah, they're not having that either. Just release Ebola. Release Ebola. Everybody's scared of Ebola. It sounds terrifying, right? Doesn't it? Ebola. Jesus Christ, what's that? That doesn't sound good. But the World Health Organization are describing the situation with Ebola as spreading rapidly and has raised the national risk level to very high. The outbreak is centered in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in a particular province where violence and insecurity are making it extremely difficult for aid workers to respond. Just this week, this is where it gets crazy, and I'll give you more context to this afterwards. Just this week, an angry crowd set fire to an Ebola treatment center after disputing the death of a family member. Now, this is a reminder of how volatile things are in those third world countries. Obviously, Look, guys, obviously they're volatile when they're in third world countries, but when these people get on rubber dinghies and come to the United Kingdom, they become 100% civilized. They are good, law-abiding citizens when they come to the United Kingdom. Now, that particular incident, I'll give you a little. I'll just give you a little bit further context of that. So, clashes broke out in this town. I think it was Thursday, after the family of one of the victims, well, one of the alleged victims, I guess, disputed that the deceased sent them to the candy shop. There was a protest. It kicked off, and they burnt down the treatment center. And I'm like, if there's anything more identifiable of ridiculousness, right? Burning down the treatment centers. Whether you believe in this sort of stuff or not, that's totally on you. I will always err on the side of caution. I will, and I've got friends who work out there, and they say it's real. But to burn down the treatment center, let's understand, guys, that Ebola was not, guys, I'm not making this up. Right? This is real, okay? These people in Africa who lived in the DRC that come over to the United Kingdom, we give them freedom, democracy, rule of law, 3 meals a day. The reason they didn't, the Ebola outbreak is as widespread as it is now is because they didn't, the first woman didn't go to hospital because they thought it was a magic spell they'd had on her. I'm not making that up. Please, guys, Google that. The reason that they didn't report Ebola was because they thought it was a magic spell. And they're like, all right, is it not a magic spell? No, it's not a magic spell. All right, okay, let's go to a doctor then. There's already been one confirmed case and death in Uganda. Now, on a hopeful note, ladies and gentlemen, so it's bad, but don't worry. Please don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because British scientists at the University of Oxford are working flat out every hour God sends on a new Ebola vaccine. Professor Teresa Lam. I didn't know women could be professors. Can women be professors? I don't know if women can be professors. It might be fake news. Professor Teresa Lam and her team say they could have it ready for clinical trials in 2 to 3 months. But, as she herself admitted, the hope that the outbreak can be brought under control before the vaccine, there is hope that it can be brought under control before the vaccine is even needed. Now, this situation, Ebola is one of the deadliest viruses we know. It really is. The mortality rate is huge, and it really is. Like I said, I've got friends who live in. They don't live there. They work in DRC, and it's a real thing. It really is. It's really bad. Now, with the bodies of the victims being highly infectious, unsafe burials are driving it even faster. While the global risk is still considered to be relatively low, the habit and this spiraling out of control, it does look like it's spreading. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining for the first time and you're just jumping on, I'm talking right now about Ebola. The World Health Organization are sounding the alarm over the fast-moving Ebola outbreak. The Tedros himself has said that this is now spreading rapidly. And to make things worse, the former CDC director on Ebola says, I suspect this is going to become a very significant pandemic. They're not my words, guys. They're not my words. They are the words of, I think his name is Redfield. I'll read you. I'll read it you in a second. Now, what he actually said is, I suspect this is going to become a very significant pandemic, probably going to leak in Tanzania, South Sudan, maybe Rwanda. Obviously, it's already in Uganda. He described the outbreak as a significant outbreak that is of significant public and international health concern, noting that it wasn't detected quickly enough. And you guys know that it wasn't detected quickly enough because the woman who had it thought she didn't think she had a virus. She thought she had a magic curse. I promise you guys, that's why these are the people that we're bringing into our country, right? What's wrong with you? Oh, I've had a curse. You know what? I don't go to the doctors that often, but I'm going to, do you know what? Should I film it? Should I go to the doctor, right? Should I go to the doctor and say, yeah, doctor, I'm feeling a bit sick. I think somebody's put a magic curse on me, and see what he says. Just like I'll film that interaction. I'll try and keep a straight face. So that's what he's saying, guys. Now, putting all this together, it looks like we're heading for carnage and chaos in Africa. Well, let me give you some more context to this. And before I do that, actually, I've not done this yet. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are watching right now, can you do me a massive favor and hit those buttons down below? Hit that like button. That really helps me out with the algorithm. If you guys are down there and you've not hit it already, can you also please hit that subscribe button? That really helps me out as well. And hit that bell notification so you guys know when I'm dropping another video, because I am going to be dropping... Guys, honestly, as far as videos goes, tomorrow, I'm way behind on videos. I'm so far behind on videos. I've now got 2 UFO UAP videos to do. I've got a prepping video to do. I think I'm going to do more. I think I'm going to start to do more nationalistic videos, because what's happening in the United Kingdom with the takeover of the United Kingdom is unbelievable. We've got the war in Ukraine. We've got the war in the United Kingdom. Listen, and not in the United Kingdom, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. Look, I'm going to share with you guys a video in a minute. And on that video, I am going to show you guys how incompetent, unprepared, and inept the MOD is. I promise you guys, I could run the MOD better and still do 3 to 5 live streams a day. I promise you, these guys have no idea what's coming. They've no idea. So let me just go straight from the sources now. So former Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director Robert Redfield said on Wednesday that he suspects, look guys, I'm not making this up, he suspects the spreading Ebola outbreak in Africa will spread across 3 new countries and become a very significant pandemic. I suspect, he says, this is going to be a very significant pandemic, probably going to leak into Tanzania, South Sudan, and the rest of them. So it's going to be very disruptive, he added. A majority of the Ebola cases are in Congo and Uganda. Local health officials in the 2 nations have reported 500. Well, these numbers are changing all the time. This outbreak, this is an outbreak right now that is a really significant outbreak that's of huge public international health concern. Particularly because what we've said, it wasn't recognized very quickly. And we know that it wasn't recognized quickly because the woman didn't think she had Ebola. She thought she'd been cursed. She thought she had a magic spell on her. Now, maybe she did. Maybe she had both. If anybody's ever been to Dubai, right? Dubai airport, there's a, if anybody's ever been to Dubai airport, there's like, I don't know what terminal it is, but there's a huge escalator, right? There's a huge escalator. I can remember, like, I was coming back from the Middle East sometime. And honestly, like, I didn't have time to laugh and joke. There was maybe 12 African women in these big, beautiful dresses, really colorful with these things on their hair. And they were looking at this escalator and they were screaming at it. They were touching their toes on it and screaming. Anyway, sorry. I thought it was a beautiful. I just thought it was a beautiful sight. Anyway, I just said, "Look, get out of my way." I just thought, listen, I'm a white man. I ain't scared of no escalator. Normally, when we have these Ebola outbreaks, and this is the guy talking now, and he's had 3 of them when he was the director of the CDC, all of which were in the DRC. Normally, we recognize them within the first 5 to 10 cases. At most. He continued that this wasn't picked up until there was over 100 cases. So what we're saying there is this is 10 times worse than the worst case that he'd ever had. Right, listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your Ebola update, right? That's your Ebola update. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump onto the chat. I hope you guys are behaving on the chat. I really do. I hope you guys are behaving on the chat. I'm going to jump onto the chat, and then I'm going to talk about something that I believe will be happening tonight. You know, the battle for us. So the battle for Western culture. It's already started. The battle for Western culture is starting in our presence tonight. That's the reality, guys. The battle for Western culture starts in our presence tonight. And that's the reality. White people are about to pop off. They're about to absolutely honk out. And they are going to honk out like the white people are about to honk out the likes the world has never seen before. I did a video earlier on, and I was talking about what was I talking about? I was talking about white dormancy. I was talking about white dormancy. If you've not checked that video out, guys, go and check that video out. It was I tried to be as factual as I could without giving my own emotions. White people are about, they're about to honk out, and the only thing I can describe Britain right now is in a humiliating state that the Germans were in before, the guy we're not allowed to talk about, before he came to power. And bad things happened, right? Bad things happened, but people accepted it. People accepted it because it was like, yeah, well, we're just sick of being humiliated. This came from the Treaty of Versailles and the German economy being destroyed. And that's what happened. I think a leader will rise. I don't think we know him yet. It's going to be a him. It's absolutely going to be a man. It might be me. It might, guys. It might be me. I may raise to the top. I may raise to the top. And I may have to lead a rebellion, lead a military, take back control of the United Kingdom. Then once I've taken back control of the United Kingdom and cleansed the United Kingdom of all that is unholy, I'll just think, fuck it, I'm going to go to France. And honestly, and when that happens, when you get that, honestly, I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my soul. I can feel it coming. There's something in the air. You can feel it, and it's so powerful. Because when that happens, people in the UK will just be thinking, yeah, fuck this. We're going to France now. We're going to France. We're not stopping that shit. And then it'll be France, it'll be Germany, the rest of Europe. And then we'll be stood there and we're like, Russia, anyone? Yeah, let's go Russia. We'll go Russia, then we'll go China, then we will literally take back the world, and then we'll go, well, that escalated quickly. Yeah, he did. Right, I'm going home now. And that'll be it. We'll just forget about it. Yeah, well, that happened. That kind of happened. Let's just not talk about that. So what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to jump onto the chat actually, and then I'm going to talk. I just went on a massive waffle, didn't I? I'm going to jump onto the chat, and then I'm going to talk about link-up culture and what I believe. I'm predicting it, guys. I come out there, I do my own stuff. Nobody else is talking about this. I'm saying that we are going to, tomorrow morning's live stream, because I do a live stream every evening at 8 and every morning at 10, and I try and get on in the day as much as I can. Today was a nightmare, guys. I had to cut the grass. I had to go and get some wood. I've got some fascias to put up, but I try and do as much as I can. So I'm going to jump onto the chat, and then I will talk to you guys about what is going to be happening tonight in the United Kingdom. Right, I'm on. Googleinos is just saying sausages and steak and beef are locked in plastic box. What? Oh, right. Yeah, we're talking about link-up cultures. Right. We're talking about link-up cultures. Sean, the Congo is template. Sorry, James Template is saying, Sean, the Congo is a Christian country, the Bible, in Greek. I don't know what that word means there. Pharmakia. Right. Okay. In Greek, pharmacy means sorcery, witchcraft, drugs. African people were tight to destroy that camp. They're not stupid. I don't know, guys. Listen, I don't know. Right. Okay. Look, all I'm going to do is give you my my own experience here. I'm going to give you my own experience, right? When I was in the military, and I was in the military for quite a while. Some of the placements you used to do. Some of the placements you used to do is like one of them was to go out with the. Go out with the ambulance, right? You used to go out with the ambulances. And I remember going to this house once, right? And it was the first time, it was really the first time I was terrified seeing a casualty. Because, the casualty, she was a young girl. She was maybe like 9-10 years old, maybe less, maybe 8-9 or something. And we went into the room and the guy who I was with, the guy who I was shadowing, I was like a combat medic. I don't know what to do with kids. It's terrifying. He asked the parents to leave the room. No, he asked the family to leave the room and just asked the mum to stay in. Honestly, this guy was cool as a cucumber, right? This paramedic, he was cool as a cucumber. And he administered something to her, like an injection. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. I can assume, but I don't know what it was. And within honestly, she was having a fit, like an epileptic fit, and within maybe 30 seconds, she was absolutely fine. So, I will go with modern medicine rather than casting spells and sorcery. Although, if somebody can change my mind, Ruben is saying, wait till the footage of the Irishman begging on his knees to 2 Norwegian fishermen. Listen, guys, if you're new to the channel, Norwegian fisherman is a code for something else. Begging on his knees to 2 Norwegian fishermen who chased him down. Yeah. White men are about to pop, guys. I promise you, white men about to honk out. We're about to go. We're about to honk out. UK preparing for mass mobilization of civilian volunteers in the event of war. I do have this, guys. I've got this stuff, and I will be sharing this in a second. Hydrus is saying, do people believe for a second if all these viruses and pandemics existed, the human race? Yes, I do. Look, guys, I do believe in modern medicine. I do. I absolutely 100% believe in modern medicine. Paracetamol, penicillin, aspirin, there's some fantastic things, right? The problem is we've had crazy things happen since 2020 and people are just people are starting to become over hesitant, right? Sean, that's some garden you have. How many makers you got to work with? I don't actually know, actually. Googleinos is saying, hazardous chemical leak forces second round of evacuation. So all these things, you have to assume right now that it's sabotage. Oh, was this? Oh, God, hang on. Let me get this up. Right, let me get this up. Yeah, 44 minutes ago. I'll get this. In fact, hang on. Yeah, thank you, Googling us. 44 minutes ago. Where am I going? Am I still streaming? Right, sorry, guys. Let me get this up. It's 17. What's going on here? Right, yeah, I'll just share this. So this is from the Metro. Googleinos has thrown this up here. Man arrested after 5 people in West... Oh, sorry. Man arrested after 5 people had the stabby in West London. Right, I'll just read this for you guys now. 5 people have had a... Honestly... Guys, you know earlier when I came on and I talk about how white people are going to rise up and honk the fuck out to a scale, guys, I promise you, this is going to happen at a scale that has been unprecedented in human history. This is going to be unprecedented in human history. There's only so much people can take. I just want to get it over and done with. I want to get it started now. So earlier on, I was talking about, I did the video about white dormancy and how white people are just going to honk. We're just going to go honk. We're just going to honk. And that's going to be it. It's going to be over for everyone. Everyone's going to be running for the hills and they're all going to know, yeah, we pushed those guys too far. But I'm going to say to them, I'm going to say, listen, we're honking out right now. In 5 or 10 years, when we've taken the world and I'm sat there on my throne, just come back because I will have calmed down then. I will have calmed down. And then in another 30, 40, 50, 80 years, we'll have to do it again. What I was talking about on that video, I said, these incidents, they're not even daily anymore. These incidents like this are hourly. We are under hourly attack, but people don't understand. People have no idea that we're already in a civil war, guys. We are already at war. So 5 people, stabby, outside a shop in West London. Emergency services were called to Horn Lane in Acton this afternoon after reports that 5 men were assaulted and stabby in an altercation. A 5th man, 26, was taken to hospital. His injuries have not been deemed as life-threatening. Oh, so the other ones were. That's literally breaking in the last couple of minutes, guys. So what I'll do is, once I've given you guys an update on what I believe... Look, it's already happening, right? It's already happening. It's already happening. So once I've given you guys an update on what I think is going to be happening tonight, I will let you guys know. I will let you guys. I'll try and find out more information on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you live in the cauldron, if you live in the crucible right now, which is the United Kingdom. And we live in ground zero right now. We are, guys. We are in ground zero for whatever this is. Let me tell you what link-up culture really is in this country right now. This is not some innocent kids meeting up for a kickabout on the local field or hanging about in the local park. This is organized chaos, organized on social media, whatever, platforms you guys want to insert. Somebody posts, or somebody with a high amount of influence posts a time and a place For example, Clapham High Street, Oxford Circus, Birmingham City Centre, Nottingham. We've seen this all over the country. And suddenly, hundreds of British teenagers, I think some of them are Norwegian fishermen, or at least Norwegian fishermen's children, right? Children. I don't know if they still qualify as fishermen. And suddenly, hundreds of teenagers swarm the place like like a pack of locusts. That's what piranhas, land piranhas. Big dog, this is Rubber Duck. We got land piranhas. We got land piranhas in Clapham Common. What do you mean land piranhas? I mean, I can't say the word, right? I can't say the word because I'll get banned. Link up, as simple as that. They link up, they film it, they turn it into content, and it often turns into theft, looting, assault, straight up disorder. It starts with the thrill. School's out, especially now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not lying. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that school is not out. Certainly not for summer, but it's out. So if you live in the United Kingdom, right now, today, the school is out. The kids have broke up for, half term? There's a heat wave. There's a heat wave. Baking the streets. Tempers are short. Energy is high. There's nothing structured, right? There ain't nothing structured and shit. I'm British and shit. Oh shit, I'm gonna get me some link up. Oh hell no. I'm gonna get me some Greggs. I don't know why they're American. So that, people will gather. What begins as just linking up will quit. And this is going to happen tonight, guys. And I think it will probably be happening right now, actually. These things will quickly escalate because there's no real pushback. Someone grabs a few bits from Marks and Spencer's, right? Imagine it, right? You have 200 kids, the new British children, right? 200 going to Marks and Spencer's. And the first thing they do when they get into Marks and Spencer's, right? They say, have you hit that like button? That's the first thing they do, guys. They get in there and they say, right, has everyone hit that like button? Because it really helps me out when you hit that like button, guys. It really does. Helps me out massively. And if you guys are watching on X, right? Have you subscribed or followed me on X? I don't know. I will be closing you guys down pretty soon on X, and I will just be continuing this live stream on YouTube. But the second thing they say when they, the second thing that happens when they get into Marks and Spencer's, Boots, JD Sports, whatever store they decide to go in, 200 of them go in. We've seen this. We've seen this multiple times in the United Kingdom over the last week, right? You just steal things, right? Somebody will do it first, and then everybody like locust. Like land piranhas, guys. And then others see it on their phones and think, oh, well, they're getting free trainers and free tracksuits and free TVs. What's that movie? Police Academy. Wasn't Police Academy awesome? And before you know it, shelves are stripped. Staff are getting, attacked. Fireworks are going off on the street. It's not the 2011 riots with buildings burning. It's smaller but more frequent, more brazen. Micro-looting at scale. But the effect is the same, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in the United Kingdom, you feel under siege. And I'm not talking about Steven Seagal. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's the thing, right? It leads straight to crime because the system has waved a white flag. Seriously, guys, the system has waved a white flag on this link-up culture. Security guards have been told, you're not allowed to physically intervene, just record and monitor, right? So when you see a security guard, they're not allowed to physically intervene. That's what they've been told, guys. This came out on the mainstream and I did a video about it, right? So you go into a shop. Why is anyone, like, honestly, it's going to get to a stage very soon where people are, like, can you imagine it, right? You're in, I don't know, you've taken the girl, you've got a little girl, right? And she's saved up her pocket money and she's been doing and think about the psychological effect this is having on white people, right? You're trying to teach your kids, work hard, save up, do your homework, do your chores, right? And once you've got enough money, because honestly, guys, this breaks my heart. Once you've got enough money, we'll go to the store and I'll get, and you can buy that dress, those trainers, whatever. And then you get in the car, you go with your daughter or your son or whatever. You go there and, the look on their little face, they're so excited. They've worked hard for those trainers. They've worked hard for that, like, I don't know, whatever, that dress or whatever. They've worked hard for it. They've saved their money and it's been 3 months in the making or whatever. And you go in there, right? Next thing, all these kids come in with their like cornholios for my TP holio thing, come in and just rob the place. How do you explain that to it? Like, how do you explain that to your kids? Imagine if you're on your way walking out and somebody just snatches the dress or the trainers out your kid's hands. What do you do then? Well, it's not the store's problem. You was out the store. All right, okay. Don't worry, little girl. Those people are allowed. Those people are allowed to steal things. Oh, but Daddy, why? Well, it's because I can't say those words. And this is going to happen tonight, guys, okay? Our society, the system that is already broken, has waved the white flag, right? You're not allowed to physically intervene, just record and monitor. Stand there with your camera watching while the kids run around stealing things. The staff, so like, I don't know if you guys know this, but a security guard doesn't actually work. Well, it does work for this. A security guard doesn't work for the store. The security guard will work for a security company, and the security company will be employing him to look after that. They're not staff of the store. And then the staff, a lot of them young girls themselves, those who do try and stop the shoplifters get sacked. And there's been many incidents of this, guys, where there was an off-duty police officer who tackled a theft. How dare you stop one of the New Britons? How dare you stop one of the New Britons getting his free shit? I want my free shit. Hey, man, I'm here. I want my free shit. Your honky's going to pay for my free shit. Yeah. Do you know what's going to happen, right? Honestly. But if your staff, you get sacked or disciplined because big retailers are terrified of lawsuits, bad PR, health and safety. It's open season, ladies and gentlemen. It's open season. Open season, and the prizes are juicy. Thieves know it. The public know it. The kids filming it themselves know it. Why risk anything when, the consequences are a joke? Why wouldn't you risk anything, when the consequences are a joke? Why would you bother? Like, why? Like, honestly, why would you bother? Like, why would you bother saving up for something? Why would you bother working and saving up for something and, and putting a little bit of money aside every week? Why would you bother doing that when you can just go and get it for free instantly? This is something called low-level retail crime, right? And it's been skyrocketing. I've been talking about this anecdotally for a while. Because I saw it myself, right? Like last year or whatever it was, people stealing coffee pods. I was like, what's happening here? And the message from the top is this: your shop, your problem, but don't you dare do too much about it. That's what I feel, right? That's what I feel. That's what I feel people are saying, right? It's your shop, it's your problem, but don't do too much about it. Security guards told not to stop shoplifters. I'm not making this up, guys. If you're not from the United Kingdom, if you're overseas, if you're in America, we're going to need you pretty soon. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. This is broken Britain in action. A perfect storm, weak policing on petty stuff that isn't petty when it's done at scale, right? This will be put down to shoplifting, right? And the police are already unfit for purpose, right? So the police will be saying, "Oh, well, that's just shoplifting. Let them claim on the insurance." And guess what? Then the price of everything goes up for me. So now, right? Taking the girls for their, so the girls have, they've saved up for a dress or some trainers or whatever. And as we're walking out, some of the link ups, they steal it and we say, "Oh, okay, there you go." Because I won't stop them. If somebody steals something, off me, I'm too scared to stop them because I don't want to go to jail for protecting my own property. You're not allowed to do that in the United Kingdom, guys. You're not allowed to do that. You just have to give it away. So if I was to get robbed, right? If somebody was to come and steal something off me, like grab a box out of my hand, my instant reaction is I throw my wallet at them and shout my PIN number as well. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, you can't say I'm not woke. I'm so woke, guys. I'm so woke. Guy wanted my kid's shoes. So I gave him my wallet and my PIN number. And you know what? Because of diversity, I'm not even going to report that as a crime. #winning. We really do live in an absolutely broken country. It's unbelievable. And I'm going to speculate that this is happening right now, and we will find out about this tomorrow. There is huge social problems here. There's a certain culture, right, where dads don't stay around. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I put it in the comments. There's a certain culture that dads don't stay around. And parents who aren't around for their children, or maybe even can't control their children, and a culture that excuses children as bored or vulnerable, give them more money, instead of actually holding them to an account. Now, let's add in the added factor that there's a heat wave and it's on till Wednesday or something. Sticky, restless evenings, kids off school with too much time. It only gets worse from here, ladies and gentlemen. What do you do if you're a retailer? You close down. You're not gonna mess about with that stuff. You close down. So something's got to give, guys. It is. Something's got to give. Something's gonna go. We can't have a functioning society like this. We can't. We cannot have a functioning society. Right, I've got some videos to share. I'm going to jump onto the chat now. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not done so already, please hit those like buttons. Hit those like buttons. Or button. Ruben is saying oxandrolone. I don't know what that is, but I'll have one. I'm up for one. Googleinos is saying OCFA has posted an incident update. Right, hang on. Chemical spill. Authorities are increasingly concerned about the affected tanker failing and leaking or fail. You know that in America, there's a place called East Palestine, right? And there was a huge chemical leak where I think it was like a train that derailed. I'm pretty sure I heard that was a terrorist attack. Yes, some people are saying that there's going to be some airstrikes going to the Middle East tonight. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know. I'm not seeing that direction of. It may happen. Things happen on a Friday, but I'm not seeing that direction of travel at the moment. What I am seeing 100% though is the link-up cultures in the United Kingdom here right now. Right, I'm just going to jump to the bottom, guys. I'm getting the latest comments. Ruben is saying, gardening. Trevor Pritchard is saying, I can't understand how a dad can't. Yeah, I agree, mate. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But do you know what, Trevor Pritchard? That's what sets you apart from the savages. That's what sets you apart from the animals. That's what sets you apart from those who we cannot name. Silly Gallardi. So she's talking to Phil, but I'm gonna jump in this conversation. I feel like I can jump. I feel like I'm jumping in this conversation. I hope you guys don't mind. I can't believe how much it's all changed in 16 years. All right, I have only good things to say about my time in the United Kingdom. So yeah, you wouldn't recognize it now, silly. It's just so wild. We have hourly attacks, and this is what it is. There's no denying it. We are under hourly attacks. We get more attacks than the Ukrainians, right? And they're at a full-blown war with the Russians. We are having hourly attacks. Now, whether that's a gang who lives here, a gang who lives there, and, you know, it's not a daily occurrence anymore. This is an hourly occurrence. Right, Googling us. Is this another one? Is that another one or the same one? Fred is saying, do everything there is to do instantly without a second thought. Whatever you see, even the cup on the table, till you fall asleep and you can't fail in life. Right, if that's just general life advice, I think you're absolutely right. Patriot Sloop is saying Robert Maxwell ruined England. I think I don't think you can point to one person. Although, you know, he was a massive spy, wasn't he? He was working for everyone. Yeah, you know what I saw this before I came out. I don't know where I go with this. I don't know where I go with this. I kind of like Tulsi Gabbard. You know, I always get her mixed up with that UFO lady. Rod is saying Joe Biden 3 strikes policy for minor crimes designed to fill prisons with free labor separated a lot of black dads from their. No, it didn't. Crime separated them from their kids, right? You can't blame someone. You can't blame the government for sending someone to jail if they're a criminal. Right, hang on. I've got another video to show. Right, so somebody put on the chat. In fact, you know what, guys? Listen, if you're watching on X, am I going to close you guys down? Oh, God, it's 49. 48. 46. We'll get there in the end. Right, if you guys are watching on X, I'm going to share a video. I'm going to share a video, and James Templar is saying exactly, Sean. Good on you, Trevor. Sometimes the mother won't let the fathers be in the child's life, turning kids against their dads just because they can. Yeah, look, there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. There's no excuse. You just have to fight for it and just keep going. Right, let me share this video. All right, I've not watched this video yet, but once this video is over, you guys on X are going. But let me share. I've not watched this. I'm going to give live commentary to this video, right? So this is a video on how Britain is preparing for war with Russia. Is this how the opening salvo of World War III might unfold? Okay, first of all, well, you know, let's see. I've not watched this video, guys. I'm going to give you real-time commentary.
I'm in the middle of an army war game. In this scenario, the year is 2030 and Russia...
Why is 2030 always come up? Why is 2030 always coming up?
...has just invaded the Baltic states. It's triggered Article 5 of the NATO alliance that says an attack on one is an attack on all, and the UK is in the fight.
Okay, right. First of all, she's got no idea what she's talking about. NATO Article 5 it states an attack. Look, guys, you guys know exactly what I'm going to say. NATO Article 5 states that attack on one is an attack on all. The Security Council will convene and decide what action to take to bring peace and stability to that region. It means nothing, but whatever, we'll go with it because she doesn't know, does she?
The British Army leads a headquarters that oversees up to 100,000 NATO military personnel.
Okay, this looks really gimmicky. If anybody's ever been in an operation or a high-intensity exercise, you don't have gay red lights on the floor. It's hard work. There's people rushing around. People are stressed. People are working hard, right? There's not people standing around being gay.
And that headquarters has been deployed to Estonia. In reality, I'm in an underground station in London. In the game, this is meant to be civilian infrastructure underground in the Estonian capital of Tallinn. It's been transformed, as you can see, into a military headquarters. There are screens, there are computers, there are soldiers that are getting in feeds from the surface. And in the scenario, there are thousands of Army, Navy, Air Force personnel above the ground that are operating weapon systems.
It's interesting they're talking about Estonia, right? Remember, I said this was good. Look, guys, when we're talking about Russia, Eastern Europe, I've done quite a few videos telling you exactly where it's going to come in Estonia, right? I've done this many times. And it will. Estonia is the most likely. I did this long before anybody else was talking about Estonia. Nobody's talking about Estonia now. But do you know what? Very soon, like, remember when I started to talk about, when I was telling you guys about the Strait of Hormuz, Karg Island, the significance of it, and nobody really knew about it, and people going, oh, what's that mean? Trust me, guys, people very soon will be talking about Estonia. And everybody will be an expert.
Trying to fight the Russians, but they are using technology. This is a futuristic scenario 5 years from now when the UK believes that it will much more have embraced artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, drones, electronic warfare, drawing on all of the technology.
Okay, is she just setting up the Terminator? Is she setting up the Terminator? That's pretty much what happens on the Terminator. Cyberdyne Systems Model 10. What does it say? I can't remember what he says. What does he say? He says something like on Terminator 2 is a fantastic film. Honestly, like I watched Terminator 2 like a couple of days ago, and it's prime Arnold. When Arnold walks out of that like biker bar, and there's is it George Thorogood, Bad to the Bone, and he walks. It's just so badass. Like everything about that movie is awesome. But part in that movie, he says, he's talking to John Connor in the car, and he says, "What happened?" And he says, Cyberdyne Systems build a new artificial intelligence system, and they put that on the stealth bombers, and then the artificial intelligence becomes aware, and it sees humans as a threat. So then they decide to fight the Russians. Then the Russians bomb them, and then everything goes wrong. kind of like where we're heading to right now. James Cameron knew.
That you see right now in Ukraine to be able to fight. Now, they've taken the headquarters underground because, of course, it's much safer down here because it's harder to find. They know that the Russians will be looking for them as much as they are looking for the enemy. And here you can see soldiers lined up on their laptops.
Monitoring X and Facebook, speaking to their girlfriends and looking at AI-generated images of cats.
Bring in information. They will be feeding it all together.
Okay, hang on. Right, I don't know if you guys can see that there. Can you guys see that, what that guy's looking at? Look, guys, when I give you guys these live streams and I talk about these things, I've done all these jobs, right, in the military. And that guy there, I don't know if you can see what's on his screen. Hang on. So the guy there, the computer screen, I've stopped it. He's got a risk assessment matrix, right? And that is a decision-making tool for an airstrike. So it's like, how valuable is the target? What's the collateral? And what's the risk if he goes away? That's what he's looking at there, guys. He's looking at a risk assessment matrix for a kinetic strike.
They will be feeding it all together using AI to help to speed up decision making. We've been told that
Fucking hell.
The British military decided to use artificial intelligence to run their computer systems. They thought it was smarter than the humans. Artificial intelligence decided all humans as a threat. August 29th, 2029. Judgment Day begins.
it can only take a couple of hours to do planning that previously would have taken days. And here you can see they're literally doing this next to the underground. This is a disused part.
So they're talking about Palantir. The software they'll be using will be Palantir. Now, look, guys, Palantir is evil, but it's bloody fantastic. It really is for operational planning. It's fantastic.
Of the platform, but it really underlines how at a time of war, all infrastructure can be used by the military to help them fight. For the soldiers here, they are obviously doing this just as an exercise, but they know full well that the threat is real. Russia is already fighting in Ukraine, and military commanders talk a lot about the potential for Russia to test NATO by triggering an Article 5. And that's why the
Okay, every time you hear this Article 5, guys, you've got to understand it's not worth the paper it's written on. I promise you, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Message that we keep on hearing is about the importance of investing in defence. The military are waiting just as much as everybody else for the government to decide how it's going to be spending more money on the armed forces and whether it's going to invest fast enough in the technology, the drones, the electronic warfare capabilities, the space capabilities that the UK needs to be able to transform a headquarters that already exists into a headquarters that is fit to be able to fight Russia, should that happen.
Okay. Well, that's the first time I've watched that. You don't really get much from that. Yeah, they're working. The main consideration here is we don't have the manufacturing capability. So it's all well and good saying we are going to buy drones. Where are you going to have them made? Like at that scale, we are nowhere near the manufacturing capability that the Russians are. High-end estimates are that the Russians can build build or refurbish like 150 tanks a month. I'm pretty sure that was it. So think about that, right? Just with the tanks. Russia have the ability to, to build or refurbish 150 tanks a month. Britain we have like, what? Just under 200 tanks. I would say 50% of those are operational. So we have 100. the numbers don't even make sense. You were talking about drones, unmanned aerial vehicles. Anyone in Russia, you know, like I talk about Iran, the Iranians and the Russians use the same Shahed type drones. Anyone in Russia with a double garage, like I've talked about Iran, anyone in Iran with a double garage can, the space of the double garage, right? Or bigger, obviously. Anyone in Iran or Russia with the space of a double garage can pull 3 drones in 24 hours. You know, give or take. So here in the United Kingdom, if we wanted to build 1 drone, that has to be done at a special facility that's got secret clearance. All the staff have got these ticks in the boxes. They've got all the health and safety marks. We're cooked. Right, I'm gonna turn you guys off on X, guys. I'm gonna turn you guys off on X. And if you're not going to jump over on X, then please hit those buttons because I really do appreciate it. Right, hang on. Let me say goodbye to the guys on X. Right, before I go on X, listen, guys, if you're on X before I go, I don't know if it's your first time watching. Maybe it is. I don't know. One of the things I'm just looking and there's quite a few people watching on X. One of the things I always say on this channel is we are not voting. We are not voting our way out of these problems in the United Kingdom. And the only thing to save yourselves right now is something very simple. It's very rudimental. It's to spread this idea and it's to spread this question. And the question is very simple. What legal framework do we have in the United Kingdom to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government? Please just talk, ask your friends, talk about whoever about that and try and spread that message. But anyway, you guys on X, I'm going to close you guys down now and I will just continue this live stream over on YouTube. I think I'm turning them off, yeah. Ruben is saying Northrop Grumman. They're very expensive, Northrop Grumman. You broke your planet, all your fault. Need to tax you, fix it, or go to another. Look, guys, I'll be quite honest. I am all for going to another planet. I am all going through another planet. Googleinos is saying asylum seeker rampages through supermarket with a stabber. Yeah, I shared this video earlier. It's phenomenal, right? There's a guy and he's just walking through with a stabber, and he's just smashing the bottles of booze on the floor. This is modern Britain. Dublin John is saying, when do the Irish and the English join together and show the world who's boss? I'm ready. It's going to happen soon. It will. It will happen soon. It will happen in your lifetime. Trust me. Patriot Slop is saying, Sean, that totem pole face thing you've got, can you bring a poster so we can compare? No, because it will knock everything over. I got it from, I think I got it from the Range or B&M. Silly is saying you can't take over a country with only drones. I agree, Silly. You're 100% right. You always need boots on the ground. Googleinos is saying, next stop Mars. Musk picks billionaire to command Red Planet mission. If I didn't, I would be well up for that, right? As long as I could take my family. And they just wouldn't want to go. They wouldn't want to go. They would not want to go, guys. They'd be like, yeah, we're good. What? You want us to go to Mars? I'd be like, right. Sit down, everyone. Sit down. I've got an idea. You know how we said we're going to move house? Yeah. We're going to go to Mars. What? Yeah, we're moving to Mars. Look at this place we've got. We're going to die. We might die, but 1, we'll be together. And 2, we're going to be pioneers. Lisa Brittany is saying, I never watch the news, so here I get my headlines. You know what, Elisa Brittany? You don't just get the headlines here. You get the headlines that count, right? You get the headlines that count. Right, listen, guys, let me give you a rundown of what we've been talking about today. So Ebola. The Ebola outbreak, ladies and gentlemen, is spreading rapidly. No, they're not my words at all. That's not my words. They are the, I think, yeah. They're the words from, what's his name? Good old Tedros. We love Tedros, right? Ebola is the Ebola outbreak spreading fast. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because there are scientists in the United Kingdom trying to looking for a vaccine. And the former director of the CDC is saying that this Ebola outbreak, well, he suspects this is going to become a very significant pandemic. Now, this is clearly spreading. What I feel, that aside, what I feel is going to be happening right now, and I'm sure I just heard some fire engines. And what I feel we are going to be waking up to in the morning is reports of link-ups, reports of fights, reports of masses of people, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The link-up culture where they turn up en masse, they loot, they steal. Maybe we're going to have a drive-by, plenty of stabby, you know, because this is modern Britain. It is, guys. This is modern Britain now. And unfortunately, there's no off-ramp. There's no off-ramp. Voting in 2029, I mean, good luck with that. Googleinos is saying Iran's internet shutdown has lasted 2,000 hours. Right. I'll be honest with you. The scaredest that, you know, I've been in the military. I've been in lots of gunfights and, you know, outnumbered and had to do fighting withdrawals. The scaredest I've ever been was in Baghdad. Maybe 2010 or 11 or something. And all the internet went off, right? The internet just went off. And nobody could get a phone signal, right? And then we heard these tanks. And if you've ever heard a tank, you like this churning of metal. This churning of metal. Where we were staying in Baghdad in the green zone, the Iraqi army came and put tanks on all the roads to block all, so nobody could get out. And honestly, guys, there was hundreds of Iraqi soldiers getting out, and nobody knew what was happening. So there was probably maybe, how many was there? Maybe like 20, maybe 25 guys in the villa. And everybody, like, we all grabbed our guns and stuff, and we ran to the roof. And we didn't know what was happening because we was trying to get onto the radio because we could see the British embassy maybe like 800 meters away. And from our villa, we couldn't get radio. Everything had been blocked. So on the radio, trying to get into contact, trying to get communications with the British embassy. Nothing. It was like a total media blackout. It was terrifying. So me and a couple of lads, we got down. I said, "Look, I'm not standing on the roof if these guys come in. I'd rather be on the street shooting it out with these guys because, like, in a building, you're a sitting duck, right? Out on the streets, you can do fire and maneuver. If you're not contributing fire, you're contributing maneuver. No movement without fire. You know, you've got the upper hand because these guys are not very well trained." So we got down behind the shutters of the compound. And we just said, look, like, if these guys come in, we are going to shoot our way to the British embassy. Luckily for them, I think there was like maybe 1,000 of them. Luckily for them, they didn't come in. What they were doing is they were going, there was a lot of security companies who'd not paid their licenses. And they were just like rooting out all these security companies. But it's absolutely terrifying when they turn everything off. James is saying Ebola is BS. They just want to jabby, no thanks. Right, look, Ebola's not BS, right? It's entirely up to you guys what you think, and I'm not going to tell anyone what to think. All I will always say, like, just err on the side of caution with everything. You know, of course, there is sometimes that sometimes there's no time for caution, but just err on the side of caution with everything. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. I will be back on tomorrow morning. I will, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. I will be reporting on whatever's happened last night, as in tonight. So if you're not going to be there tomorrow because you're not up, because you're lazy, then all these videos do get uploaded. So if you've not done so already, please hit those buttons down below, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, and I will... Oh, hang on a minute. Elixir, I believe this is your first comment. I hope it is, but thank you so much. Thank you, Raven. Hope to see you in the morning. Yes, and I do you as well, Elixir. Elite Elixir. I'll see you all in the morning.